What's up, creeps? Today is the first story time, and I got the good story today. I wouldn't say it's legit, but I wouldn't say it's BS either. I get like my hair. So let's get this thing started. It's called Feathers.avi. Okay, you know what I should do? Should read this about. Okay, that's good. Okay, let's get this thing started, guys. Remember the title of this is Feathers.avi. I put a link in the description if you want to read it yourselves. It was a normal day, a typical average autumn evening. I had just gotten done with my shift at the local supermarket I worked at, and was happy to have the weekend off. One of my coworkers, Becky, said she knew of a great website for horror stories and had sent me an email with the link to the website. So naturally, when I got home, the first thing I did was grab a Dr. Pepper, sit down at the computer, and check my email. The website was just as she had described, and within minutes I found myself sucked into pretty much everything I could read. There was this one about a guy, Jeff I think, and a surprisingly large amount involving TV shows and games. One that I found most interesting was a messed up one involving Pinkie Pie and some cupcakes. Poor Rainbow Dash, I chuckled. I browsed this site for a while, till I came across a certain story. The story itself wasn't interesting, but rather the link at the bottom of the page. With my antivirus recently renewed, I felt smugly confident, and, without a second thought, clicked the hyperlinked text. The website was nothing special, an average black background with plain blue text. I forget exactly what it said, but what I do remember was that a download successful prompt appeared on my browser. I mean, see, that part right there tells me this dude isn't very smart. First of all, why click on a link? Everybody knows if you click on that link, that thing's gonna probably give you a virus, even with good antivirus. But what he does next is probably the worst of it all. Back to the story. Shit, I thought, thinking some virus would probably now total my computer, which on my salary meant I would be without one for quite some time. My boss, though reasonable, made Scrooge look like Mother Teresa. So of course I was curious when all that was downloaded was a folder called Feathers. I had read stories like this happening on the website, so a slightly glimmer of sick delight came over me, and I couldn't help open the folder. Inside was one file. It was called fly.exe. I thought about it for what seemed like hours, but it was probably only around 5 minutes to actually open the program. I moved my mouse over, clicked, and waited for it to load. Why, dude? You're gonna open the thing that just got downloaded on your computer that you did not give permission to. Really? To my surprise, it wasn't anything flashy. There was a background picture of a bird, stretched out completely black. It appeared to be looming over a mountain, and you could hear the slow, heavy flapping of bird wings. Below it was a text box that simply read, "Would you like to fly?" After a few seconds, options to click yes or no and no came up. I hovered over each option, deciding in my dumb curiosity to select no, to which the program immediately closed down. No sense of humor, huh? Okay, the program closed down, but he opens it back up. I haven't gotten to that part, but he opens it back up. I thought to myself, when I had begun to reopen it, I figured this would loop until I selected yes, and the second I did, the screen flashed white. The bird's face looked like it was pressed into the monitor, and fixed its strangely malicious glare. Not sure how to explain it. I mean, it's ridiculous, but I couldn't shake the feeling it really was staring at me. In a low, gravelly voice, it said, "You can't fly without feathers." It almost seemed to chuckle as it said it. A very loud buzzing noise rang out and the program closed. And I'll admit, it being 1 a.m., I did jump a bit. More than a 22-year-old man like myself probably should have. All right, you got me," I said aloud, partly to calm myself down. I laughed and was about to turn off my computer for the night when I noticed something strange. Fly.exe was gone, and in its place was a file called Feathers.avi. Before I could think to even click it, the file opened on its own. "That's not normal, dude. You should have deleted this when downloaded." It started out with loud static for about 20 seconds before finally revealing the picture. It was an angled overhead view of a dark, cold-looking room with walls made of cracked concrete stone. I couldn't tell where, but somewhere off screen someone was talking. I turned up my volume, and through straining my ears I was able to hear them. From what I could tell, there were two people, a woman about 29 and a young girl about 15. How do you know? You're not seeing them. How do you know the chick's 29? How do you know the woman's 29 and the girl's about 15? Really? See, that part was one of the parts that makes me think this is BS. They were having a conversation involving birds. I noticed very quickly how easy it was to tell the two of them apart. The younger girl sounded scared. There was an obvious sense of fear in her voice. About 2 minutes after incomprehensible speech, there was movement on the camera. Suddenly the room flushed with light, and I was able to see the two figures. The young girl had long blonde hair and was wearing a gray sweatshirt. I noticed it seemed oddly dark, and that's when I realized it was because it was soaking wet. As they continued talking, I learned that apparently the girl had run away from her home. The woman had found her and convinced her to come to where she called the nest, to get out of the rain. As soon as she mentioned the word nest, the fear came back in the girl's voice. The older woman turned to the camera momentarily. Her face was twisted into an evil smile, her eyes shining in light, almost hypnotic. She began to laugh as she made her way to the girl, and instantly it cut to loud static. And this dude just keeps watching this. He should have just closed it there. I mean, like, haven't you? Obviously, you read these before if you've been on this site. I mean, really? You could close it right now and nothing bad will happen. But let's continue with the story. After about 5 seconds it settled and hundreds of pictures of birds in cages flashed on the video. It wasn't long before the pictures got more gruesome. The birds became more and more decayed looking, blood dripping from their beaks, some with eyes ripped out and hanging from their skulls, some with long gashes in their breasts revealing rotting, decrepit intestines. The feeling of nausea was overwhelming, and finally the video cut to black. What the hell is going on? I shouted in my mind. What kind of monster would make a video like this? Would photograph and maim so many birds like that? But to my surprise, the video wasn't over. In fact, after a long, dry, heaving minute, I could hear very faint whispers from my speakers. I leaned in to listen, and my heart suddenly sank. It was the younger girl from the video, quietly sobbing and pleading for help. Slowly it got louder and louder, until every outburst was a painful, gut-wrenching sob. I turned my attention back to the computer monitor. The video had resumed playing. The girl was strapped down to what looked like a makeshift hospital bed, chains gripped harshly into her skin. She had been stripped to her undergarments, and there were dozens of small cuts along her stomach. Her face, while drenched with tears, was twisted into an unimaginable sense of horror. She tried hard to free herself from the chains, but only made them dig harshly into her skin. Suddenly a harsh laugh was sent through my speakers, and I realized it was the same laugh as the woman before. Suddenly walked in holding a small medical box, and she came closer to the girl. She struggled furiously to set herself free. The older woman laughed and pulled up a small metal desk and placed the medical box on top of it. After 5 minutes of crying, the girl finally quieted down and the woman spoke. "Don't cry, my dear. Today is a wonderful day. Today you are going to be the first one to achieve a dream man has wished to do since the dawn of time. Today you are going to fly." As she finished, she laughed a harsh, psychotic laugh, one that sent shivers down my spine. I watched as she slowly turned the bed upside down, revealing the girl's exposed back. The girl's screams were more than I could bear, and tears began to blur my eyesight. Watched as the woman reached slowly into a small knife out of her medical kit and made long, deep cuts along the girl's back. Ignoring the begging and pleading to stop, she continued cutting into the girl, till 2 noticeable strips were carved into her back. Blood had almost covered the back side of the hospital bed. The girl's screams became sad, pitiful sobs. The screen flashed static for a brief moment, and returned to the same overhead view of the girl, only now there was a large cage with a corpse inside next to her. The young girl was screaming, and the camera was moved closer to the corpse. It was another young girl, her eyes stabbed out, her jaw obviously broken and slightly ripped from her skull. The sight was a horrid mess, and the camera was placed back in overhead view once more. The older woman laughed that wretched laugh once again, as she began to describe her plan to the girl. Apparently the corpse had been a practice dummy, and would be the key to her being able to fly. She explained that in order to fly she would need wings, and that she would be removing the skin and bones of the corpse to make wings for her. The girl began to sob uncontrollably. Incoherent pleas for help flooded my room as the woman slowly began to skin the corpse directly in front of the younger girl. And this dude keeps watching this. If it was me, the second that shit downloaded, I would have deleted it. Shit. But I mean, seriously, this dude just keeps watching this. After all this disgusting stuff, he just keeps watching it. But it gets weird. The disgusting display continued until there was nothing inside the cage but a small heap of bloody intestines. In a scene of unimaginable horror, I watched as the woman attempted to make wings and attach them to the girl, making me vomit profusely. The video would cut to static and fade back in, showing in horror the progress the woman was making. Eventually, what appeared on the screen was so morbid, so ungodly gruesome, that I couldn't contain my composure and started sobbing at the screen. In its last final minutes, it showed a girl standing on a high dive in what appeared to be an indoor pool, wings of human flesh attached to her back. She was completely silent, and upon looking closer, I noticed her jaw had been broken and reassembled to resemble a beak. Tears flooded down her face as I watched the older woman yell at her to jump. She began to shake her head no, and made terrible grumbling noises through her broken, disfigured jaw. Angry, the woman climbed up the ladder and stabbed the girl with what appeared to be a cattle prod, forcing her to lose her balance and fall off the board. Instead of a thud, a grotesque mix of muffled screaming and tearing flesh quietly made its way to me ears. This dude's grammar kind of sucks. I mean, mine does too, but couldn't you have gone through this after you typed it all up and fixed this? I mean, a grotesque mix of muffled screaming and tearing flesh quietly made it way to me ears. That's exactly what it says. If you guys don't believe me, I'm gonna put a link in the description to this. I'm reading this all the way through exactly how it's written down, typed up and everything. The woman grabbed the camera and angrily exclaimed how she failed to even try to fly after all the hard work she had done. She moved the camera to the pool, revealing a horrid bloody massacre. There were large, sharp wooden spikes all along the body of the empty pool, and in the middle lay the body of the girl. The camera stayed there for the remainder of the video, and to my horrible realization, I noticed she was still breathing. Slowly it became softer and softer. Blood completely covered the base of the pool. She tried to get up or even move her head, but spikes had penetrated almost her entire body, skull included. A loud snap was heard as she turned her head to face the camera, wherein the video finally came to a close. I don't know what happened next. All I remember is calling 911 while trying not to vomit all over myself. The video file is now in police custody, but even with all their efforts to have failed to identify anyone in the video, it's been 3 months since then. The file's still embedded into my computer. No matter how hard I try, it won't stay deleted. In my last attempt to give any remorse to the family, I decided to write down everything on the site I found the link from, in hopes of anyone being able to identify the page with the hyperlink or possible knowledge of the group. If anyone out there would be able to stomach what I saw, I'll email you the video, but let me warn you, it'll almost completely destroy your computer. I have to post this from a laptop I borrowed from my cousin. My main computer almost entirely non-functional. After this, I'm going home, getting drunk, and pray that I will never have to see another bird again. I mean, so that's it for that. I mean, my thoughts on this, parts seem legit, parts seem BS. I mean, just the fact that he didn't delete it right away is the part that just makes no sense. I mean, why would you keep that? I mean, yeah, at the end it said it would never stay deleted, but that's easy to fix, sort of. I mean, if it's not a laptop, I mean, it is easy to fix. All you have to do is go down to the dang computer store, and they'll do it for you. They'll do some stuff to the inside of your computer, and it'll be gone. You can factory reset that shit. But just the fact that he didn't delete it right away. I mean, yeah, you just got done reading, just got there, just found this link that you shouldn't have clicked on in the first place. On the site that you were just reading these on. You know what's going to happen already. Just delete it. But I mean, I guess he even kept the computer after it's utterly non-functional. The fact that he said it's non-functional pretty much says that you can't email that shit to anybody. You can't do anything with this computer. How are you deleting this video with a non-functional computer? Just things bring up questions in that. I mean, there's a few parts that kind of seemed legit. And the fact that he was reading creepypastas, and then he just stumbled across one himself. I say BS on this freaking video, this story. Just yeah. I found this story personally. I found this story. I had come across it a few hours ago, actually. But when I read it, I'm like, this is weird. Just why would you not delete this in the first place? Why would you even click on a link in the first place? Just all this stuff. But I guess it's his computer. If he wants to ruin it, So it was his problem. He just pretty much got through saying he didn't want to destroy his get a virus on his computer and have it utterly non-functional. At the beginning of the story, when he's talking about how he would be out of a computer for a while, but it then clicks on the thing like, why? I mean, yeah, but I call BS on this story. So I guess that's it for this video. So I will read to you guys, you creeps, another day. Maybe tomorrow. My schedule, probably, until the 2nd of June, 2013. In case you're watching this, 2014, June 3rd. Yeah. Just until then, my schedule for these will be Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Do them. Maybe not Fridays, maybe just do them Thursdays. No, I can't do them Thursdays. So Monday and Wednesday guaranteed there will be a video of me reading a story to you guys. And then possibly Fridays, but starting June 3rd, 2013, I will be making videos on my other channel. And you guys might enjoy that. And it'll be just, I won't explain it too good now, so it'll be a surprise to you guys. So, yeah, this is the end of this video, and I will talk to you later, creeps. Peace.